Welcome back to That Philly Sports Girl. I'm your host, Elise Person, and yet another week of being let down by the Philadelphia Eagles and their offense. Yesterday, the Philadelphia Eagles fell to the Cleveland Browns 22-17 in a game where the Eagles' offense was practically nowhere to be found. The Eagles' 17 points came from 2 touchdowns and a field goal. However, the one touchdown came with 30 seconds left in regulation play. So practically the Eagles went 4 quarters with 1 touchdown and 1 field goal, and the big one, 3 turnovers. There's just so many things that went wrong with the Eagles offense yesterday that I really don't even know where to begin. So I'm just going to start with Carson Wentz. Why not, I really think that after yesterday's game, there's not much left to defend on his behalf. I think that yesterday's loss, it's now become apparent that he just may not be the franchise quarterback that we were longing for and want him to be. I think that we so badly want him to succeed, but unfortunately, I just don't know if that's going to happen. He's been progressively getting worse as the season goes on, honestly, and just he's not playing like a franchise quarterback, to be completely frank, completely honest. And when the Eagles needed big plays, he couldn't step up, and that's what I expect from a franchise quarterback. I'm not expecting a franchise quarterback to have a perfect game, a perfect season, but when we need you to step up, Carson Wentz is nowhere to be found. So for me, I just think it's become a little apparent that he's not the franchise quarterback that we so badly want him to be. He threw 2 picks in yesterday's loss, and in my opinion, he's lucky that he got out of Cleveland with only 2 picks. There were at least 3 or 4 other balls thrown that were very low percentage and very close to being picked off. I just think that can't be happening. One was even called a pick and then was turned back because he didn't have control of the ball. But I just don't think that we can have him throwing these balls that are so risky and possible turnovers. I mean, 2 turnovers and 2 interceptions is a lot. But I think that he got lucky with only 2, to be honest. I'm honestly, personally ready to put Jalen Hurts under center and see what he can do. I get very frustrated when they put Jalen Hurts under center and I see Carson Wentz out wide. To me, this is a direct issue that I have with Doug Peterson and his play calling and his play schemes and everything, because I think that by having Carson Wentz out wide while Jalen Hurts is in the pocket screams to the other team's defense that this is a running play. There's no deception. There's no possibility of a pass. I think it's also kind of wasting some of Jalen Hurts' talent. You're making him a very one-dimensional player. But like I said, when you have Carson Wentz out wide, it's very clear that either Jalen Hurts is going to get the snap and run it himself or hand it off to a running back. And I think that if we're going to keep Carson Wentz as our starting quarterback, I do think that Jalen Hurts needs to be used more, and I think that the play calling needs to be much more deceptive while he's under center. When we have Carson Wentz out wide, it allows the defense to key in more on the running game because obviously they know that Jalen Hurts isn't going to throw a long ball to Carson Wentz. So I just think, why don't we get Carson Wentz out, let Jalen Hurts take under control of center for even 1 snap, and give him an RPO, see what he can do, give him the run-pass option. But overall, I just think the play calling needs to improve. That's been a week in and week out issue. But this is a particular thing when Jalen Hurts is in the game for me. Get Carson Wentz out of the game when Jalen Hurts is under center. So I don't know. After yesterday's game, I know a lot of conversation was get Jalen Hurts in the game, get Jalen Hurts. Yesterday in a press conference after the game, Doug Peterson was asked about benching Carson Wentz for Jalen Hurts, and Coach Peterson's response was, quote, "I think you're sending the wrong message to your football team that the season is over, and that's a bad message," end quote. So he's saying that by benching Carson Wentz, that sends the wrong message to the team and that the season is over. I disagree. Personally, I think he's trying to protect Carson Wentz from spiraling into a head game that I don't know if he will be able to recover from. But I think in the long run, I actually think that not starting Jalen Hurts or giving him an opportunity sends the wrong message that the season is over. I mean, we drafted Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round, so clearly we picked him pretty high and thought highly of him. So let's see what he can do. And if anything, I think that by allowing our starting quarterback to play at this level with the amount of turnovers throughout the season, I mean, it's now week 11 and Carson Wentz has 13 interceptions. Can you get much worse than that? I don't think so. So why not switch it up? Do I think that Jalen Hurts is going to fix all the Eagles' problems? No. But put him in the game. If it works, let's work with it. And if it doesn't, put Carson Wentz back in. What do we have to lose? So in my opinion, I actually think that I actually do disagree with Doug Peterson's ideology of it sends the wrong message to the team by benching Carson Wentz. I actually think it sends the wrong message to the team by leaving him in the game, because what are we holding each other accountable for? If you're going to throw 13 interceptions by week 11 and not face any consequences and get benched whatsoever, I think that actually sends the wrong message that the season is over, because let's just stick with it and see what he's got left. No, I think that we should mix it up if we're going to try to salvage what we have left of the season. Doug Peterson also said at the end of the game that there is, quote, no question about it, he is our starter, end quote, while referring to Monday night, looking towards next week's Monday Night Football against the Seahawks. So unfortunately, I don't think that we're going to see any more of Jalen Hurts. I don't think that he's going to change the play calling, because why would he? I don't think that he's going to change any of that, and Carson Wentz is going to be under center for the rest of the Philadelphia Eagles season. So to me, that's a little frustrating, because I just wish that we could see some other options. Like I said, I don't think that Jalen Hurts is going to fix all the Eagles' problems, but I do think that it could shake it up a little bit, and I don't see anything wrong with that. So now I want to talk briefly about the Eagles' offensive line. Horrible game for them yesterday. You know, Carson Wentz, we'll talk about how he played poorly yesterday, but also a lot of it, we can't ignore, does go hand in hand with the pretty bad offensive line. Carson Wentz was sacked 5 times yesterday, and Andrew Sendejo finished with 3 sacks. Carson Wentz is no stellar quarterback, but he cannot get anything done with this offensive line. Carson Wentz has been sacked a career high of 39 times this season. That's a lot of hits to be taking as a quarterback, and it's hard to get any offensive flow going when you're rushed so often and you're getting hit that often. And that's just unacceptable for the offensive line. Clean it up. We have some veterans in there now. Jason Peters, I don't know what you were doing yesterday. Not a good look. We need to clean that up on the offensive line. We also allowed for the first safety since 2008. There's been 190 games since the Eagles have allowed a safety. Yes, this definitely falls on Carson Wentz a little bit. He definitely held the ball too long. He needs to have awareness, especially now 5 years in the league, understanding his positioning on the field awareness, and being able to get the ball out if he thinks that he's about to get sacked. But I also point my fingers at the offensive line as well, because they need to realize at the same time field positioning and how critical it is to protect Carson Wentz and allow him to get a pass off. So just overall a very frustrating game offensively. But even with a complete lack of offensive production, we were able to stay in the game. How? I point all of it, give all the creds to the defense. They worked their butts off yesterday, and I think that needs to be applauded and noted and not go ignored. Yesterday, the Browns finished with 22 points, but 9 of those points came from the Browns' defense, as they totally took advantage of the Eagles' horrible offense yesterday. So the Eagles' defense allowed for 13 points. That's not something that I can be too mad at, really. I don't think that allowing 13 points up on the board defensively is horrible. I think that your offense should be able to score more than 13 points and not give up 9 to beat a team like the Browns. The Eagles sacked Baker Mayfield 3 times. Fletcher Cox, Jock Sweat, and Mr. Alex Singleton all got to Mayfield for a loss of yards. But we really need to talk more about Alex Singleton. I mean, he was all over the field yesterday. I feel like every defensive play, we were talking about Alex Singleton. It was awesome. It was such a breath of fresh air to see after watching what was happening on the offensive end, to see someone work so hard like Alex Singleton yesterday. He was playing to win, and it showed. He wanted that W from the very first snap. The very beginning whistle to the very last whistle, he played so hard, played his heart out, and I think that it really showed. He finished yesterday's game with a total of 12 tackles, and a fumble recovery. I do think that defensively, the secondary could have played a little better and tighter in the passing game. Baker Mayfield was able to get some long balls off, but ultimately we were able to make some big plays defensively to stop any major scoring plays. So defensively, that would be the one thing I would work on and clean up heading into next week. But overall, I am pretty happy with the defensive effort in yesterday's game. I think overall yesterday's game was totally within an arm's reach, and there were some questionable or unfortunate plays that could have maybe swung things in a better direction for the Eagles or more in our favor. For example, the Miles Sanders fumble at the 4 yards away from the end zone, and the Baker Mayfield fumble that was recovered by the Eagles, but for some reason wasn't a fumble. I had a hard time understanding that. I know they were saying forward progress, but to me it was clearly a fumble that was recovered by the Eagles. So I don't know, that was unfortunate. And then the conditions yesterday, obviously pouring, driving rain. Very first drive of the Eagles offense, they get down the field running, might I add, and Miles Sanders fumbles it 4 yards away from the end zone. And granted, we only lost by 5 points, so would that have helped us? Yes, but we can't focus on how that one touchdown would have helped us when we played like that when we played so poorly the remainder of the game. So overall, I just think the Eagles' offense played sloppy. I don't think that they ultimately deserved to be on the winning side of that game. Do I blame it all on Wentz? No. I don't think you can always solely blame it on the quarterback. I think Doug Peterson, the offensive line, even wide receivers getting open at times impacted the offensive production. But at the end of the day, Wentz is our franchise quarterback, and I want to see him play like it. Moving on to the rest of the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys fell to the Minnesota Vikings. The Washington football team beat the Cincinnati Bengals 20-9 to improve their record to 3-7. The Cowboys defeated the Minnesota Vikings. And back to the Washington football team, The Washington football team beat the Cincinnati Bengals 20-9 to improve their record to 3-7. The Bengals' first overall draft pick, Joe Burrow, was carted off the field with a knee injury and has ruled himself out for the season after tweeting hours after the game, quote, "Thanks for all the love. Can't get rid of me that easy. See you next year," end quote. It's not clear what his knee injury specifically is, but Burrow will be out for the remainder of his rookie season. The Giants had a bye week this week and look to take on the Cincinnati Bengals this upcoming Sunday. Looking towards next week, the Eagles take on the Seattle Seahawks in primetime Monday Night Football. And just to be frank, there is absolutely no way that the Eagles beat the 7-3 Seahawks. We never beat them. Even when we're a good team, when we're a team like this, pretty bad, we're not going to beat them. So things to focus on going into next week. I say it week in and week out. The Eagles offense must improve going into next week, just as a whole. I don't even know what to start pinpointing because I just think the Eagles offense as an entirety needs to get better. Very emphasis, though, on the offensive line and our quarterback position. I just think at this point we need to get in and watch film and do the best that we can to improve. Film doesn't lie, so I think there's going to be some tough film sessions to watch this week. But I think it's important for the Eagles to take advantage of the film and try to learn from and improve from the film. I think the film is a great place to start. I think Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz also need to have some very candid conversations about what is going to make this offense flow better and what's going to get overall better offensive production as they work together to try to figure that out. Defensively, I think that if we play the way we did at the linebacker position and on the defensive line, we should be okay defensively. I was really happy with the efforts put forward yesterday by the defense. I do think that the Eagles secondary needs to clean it up a little bit in the passing game. But other than that, I do think that the Eagles defense just needs to keep showing up and being a constant for this Eagles team. So that's going to do it for today. I'm Elise Person, That Philly Sports Girl, and we'll see you next week.